Hello?
Yo, dude.
Hey, how's it going?
Dude, it's going pretty good, man. How are you doing?
Never better, my man.
Yeah, okay, fuck yeah. That's what I want to hear. um, so, I know you might have told me this in the email, and if you did, I apologize. But if you wouldn't mind, give me a quick refresher of race, league, and kind of just, a generalization of like your gameplay, and what you like to do.
Okay, yeah,
I think your mic might have cut out.
uh, sorry, my Discord is dying a little bit.
Are you just before we keep going? I guess I can ask you a question. Where do you live right now? Like, what area of the world are you in? Because I can change the connection server to be something better for you, possibly.
Uh, no, it's not actually Discord. I think it's a driver conflict with my headset.
Okay.
It like switches the default setting on Discord, so sometimes I have to go back and
Shit.
change it.
That sucks.
But it should be okay if I don't have anything else going.
All right. Well, I guess if your mic cuts out randomly, I'll just let you know. I'll be like, I don't think that was the end of your sentence.
Yeah, sorry. So I'm Masters 2 in Protoss right now.
Okay.
Um, I struggle, I think, a lot with macro, especially as I've gotten higher into masters. I do a lot of like two base timings or all ins.
Okay.
Um, it's really specific. Like against Zerg, I don't really have a problem playing macro.
Yeah.
But Terrans usually I try and do like a fat charge lot all in,
Okay.
or against Protoss I kind of just I don't know play really reactive.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's fine. It makes sense. I think your builds, especially when you get to like Masters 2, Masters 1, it's gonna definitely need to start being more specific about a lot of ways. So, I mean, we can just look at your. I would say probably for the most ideal way to do it, I think we should probably focus on one matchup, unless you kind of just want to like refine an all in or a timing, and then we could maybe do multiple. But if you want to,
Okay.
if you actually, I would say if you want to focus on like doing a timing and then maybe having like a follow up to that, or having like a well-rounded macro version of a matchup, that would in my opinion, it would probably be best to focus on one matchup for that kind of concept.
So ideally, I would want to do like my Terran matchup, but since the
Okay.
patch just came out, I can't actually watch the replays.
So okay,
So
this
I've been playing like,
we
yeah, sorry,
this
go ahead.
no, no, sorry, I know I interrupted you too. What we could do though for that is if you have replays that you specifically want to look at that are like they're really good, but we just can't watch them on BattleNet. It kind of sucks, but I could have you just watch the stream and then I could watch it offline if you give it to me in Discord.
Um, is there even a specific? Oh, I guess the one is I'm playing in this kind of amateur tournament right now for StarCraft,
Okay.
and I played a best of three series yesterday against a Terran,
All right.
and so a couple of those games just felt really strange to me.
Sure. We could look at
Um,
those too.
so this would be really cool, but those were on the previous patch, so I'd have to send them to you,
Okay.
which we could totally do.
Yeah, I mean it's up
Um,
to you. If you have one that you think is like good enough that's on like the current patch because it's like of like you know today basically, uh, then we could watch that. It's up to you really. I don't mind doing either way.
okay. Yeah, I was trying to play a bunch today to try and get like some good Terran games, but I've
Yeah.
literally only gotten Protoss for the last 8 games. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, that's I know how that goes. You like the one matchup repeatedly all day.
It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay, I think I would want to do the best of three series
Okay.
against the Terran.
Sure. Yeah, you can just
Send me.
you just drag and drop the replays in the private message we have then, and I'll just open it up that way.
Okay. Let's see. I think this is the first one. Second one. And this is the third one.
Okay, I'm gonna try again. That was weird.
Did they not come through?
Yeah, well, no, it went through, but it's like not letting me open it because it says I don't have the version to play it. But now I'm gonna try and I'm just gonna. Okay, it's not working. I don't understand. It says the version of StarCraft 2 required to play this game is not available. I have no
Sick.
idea. I've never had that happen like that. It usually just puts you into a different version or whatever. Like you can just watch it offline, but it doesn't even let me attempt. I'll try your other replays.
Wild.
I just tried the first one. Okay, that second one did that too. I mean, they're all probably gonna do it.
Okay. Well,
Sucks.
I have some pretty dank PvPs we can do instead.
We also here's one thing we could also do as well if you wanted to do this. I could play against you one game that would take probably like 10-15 minutes with my Terran, and we could talk about your gameplay after that too if you really want to focus on PvT.
Oof. Yeah. Actually, that sounds fun.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. I can't load in the replays unfortunately, so I'll get back on. We can 1v1 each other.
Okay.
All right, so this is actually perfect too. You don't have to don't tell me what you like to do exactly. I know earlier you said you do charge lot timings and stuff. I don't know if that's your only thing, but just do whatever you think you want to do. Whatever build you think you want to work on that you think you can improve on, just do that.
Okay.
Like your mainstream style, whatever, and then we can talk about ways that it might make more sense, possibly if we can see things we can make better.
Perfect.
All right, so easiest way we can do this is just open up the Grandmaster ladder list, and then just scroll down to rank 160 currently, and that's me, and you can just send me a message.
68. Micromancer?
No, it's root vibe, but it's just random. Oh, sorry, 160. Sorry.
160.
Yeah.
I see.
I see what you see. Because I heard you say 168, and then I was like, I thought that's where you just like your mouse went or something.
Yeah.
All right, and then as soon as you send me a message, I'll make a party. We can just start a game. All right, sick.
There you go.
Alright, is there any maps you veto right now that you just don't care about?
There is one. I don't remember what it's called.
I'll make this. Are you okay with this map?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Alright.
I think I like most of the map pools right now.
Yeah, the only one I don't like is Golden Wall, honestly. The rest of the maps are fine, in my opinion.
And that one's it's just cheesy.
Yeah, exactly.
It just feels wonky.
That's why I don't like it. I'm like, fucking cheese every game. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So good luck, dude. See how this goes.
You too.
And if I don't want to talk to you and distract you too much during this, so I'll probably just let you play. But if you have any questions you want to ask me during the game too, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, sounds good.
If I played Vibe, I'd attack him with all my miners. Oh, shit. You guys are crazy. So we'll see how this goes for the nice TVP. Questions during a game is a bad idea. Yeah. Also, I'm muting my mic right now, so you can't hear me. But yeah, no, when you talk during a game, it's fucking distracting. It's super distracting, so... Yeah, no, it's harder to play. And he'll probably get a less quality game for himself if he is talking while playing.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, Wiser, thank you for the sub, dude. Thank you for the prime. What's up? Welcome to the VFam, bro. What up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome.
Command center upgraded.
Go ahead. Sure thing. The Grim Reaper has arrived. Huh? What's going on? SCV ready. Big job. In the rear. Bad news. Yeah. Will do. SCV ready.
Gangway coming through.
What up, Panic? So, guys, I am doing a coaching lesson right now, and right now I'm actually playing my student that I'm going to teach in a minute here. Well, we're going to talk about the game afterwards. So if you're wondering what's going on, that is what's happening.
What's going on? What? You gonna get SCV ready? Go ahead. This better be. Huh? SCV ready.
Add-on operational.
Yep. Move it. SCV ready.
Okay, okay.
Like a little cheeky opener.
Yeah, it's not bad. You could like chorus reviews with that.
SCV ready.
Command center upgraded.
Gotcha. Ready to raise some hell.
Add-on constructed.
SCV ready. What's it worth? I'm listening. SCV ready. What's it worth? Got it. Ready to raise some hell. Ready to raise some hell.
Ready for dust off. Waiting on you.
SCV ready.
Talk to me.
Let's have a blast. Where's Crew? SCV ready.
Life. Ready for pickup.
SCV ready.
Dropping off.
Daylight burning. Now SCV ready. SCV ready. Big job, huh? Go ahead.
Where's the emergency? Loud and clear.
SCV ready.
Now what?
Bad news. SCV ready.
Lifeline.
Research completed.
Thank you, Sassy.
I'd eat cake off the Bible.
Thanks, Sassy. Thanks, dude.
Will do, Command. Ready for dust off. Drop.
SCV ready.
Hostile forces engaged. Mineral field depleted.
Waiting on you.
Rest pieces.
Waiting on you.
What's going on? In the rear.
Now what?
Daylight.
Base under siege.
Get heavy.
What am I immortal doing? Why is it back there the whole time? What is this? What?
I actually didn't even notice the main. Holy shit.
It's only a couple probes, don't worry about it.
Yeah, right?
This is an interesting position to be in.
Yeah.
Operational.
Okay.
And center. Gateway coming through.
I heard that.
Armed and ready. Get heavy.
Well, butter, what's going on? SCV ready.
Where?
SCV ready.
Picking up or dropping off?
We want a piece of me, boy. Mute. Oh, it's off.
This game's crazy right now.
By the number. Go, go, go.
Yeah.
It's go time. Been waiting on you. This better
Ready for dust off.
be research completed.
SCV ready.
You want a piece of me, boy? This better be good talk.
SCV ready.
We could use some help here. Cluster. We could use some help here. You mean from what, soldier?
I'm going.
From what, son? Keep your shirt on, Spidey. I'm on it. You gotta give me order by the number. Gangway coming through. Oh, it's on. Been waiting on you.
Ah. Alright, there he goes.
Alright.
Frick, dude.
That was actually a crazy game. Well, like, we both lost all of our economy. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll go into the replay now with you. Let's talk about it, dude. But yeah, that was I think you're just from playing against you, okay? From my perspective, like we'll definitely get into it more. But my perspective is your aggression, not bad. Definitely not bad. Like your early opener of Zealot Stalker, that was annoying for me for sure. I think the Stalker maybe didn't have to die. But the Zealot definitely could have died, and you killed like 4 SCVs. Even though both your units did die, you still did a lot of damage. It was annoying. I think you got the lead out of that particular position, and then your we'll talk about your SimCity of your base, but like I don't know how often you play against. I mean, I imagine you probably play against it quite a bit, like some type of Widowmine drop or Hellion drop, stuff like that. I think that did a little more damage than maybe it necessarily needed to do. But I know you opened Robo, so you don't have access to like Blink, so it has more potential there. But Still, that wasn't the big part. I think the big part was actually when I killed a lot of your probes and you killed a lot of my SCVs. I think your rebuild was maybe a bit slower than it should have been.
Yep.
So that's probably like the big point where we're gonna focus on heavily. But yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, if you have any questions, even if I'm mid-sentence, always feel free to like interrupt me. I do not mind at all. I want to make sure you like you're happy with like what we're talking about. Like you feeling like you get as much information as you can. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what's going on with your opener, with everything.
Okay, perfect. How do you feel about scouting it with your probe after your first pylon?
I don't like it.
Instead of waiting?
It's not bad versus if you're really worried about a proxy, but other than that, I would prefer gateway scout because here's why. If you scout with a probe, or I'll just let it play. I don't have to pause it. If you scout with a probe, you're going to get there way before I'm able to actually make an expense with my money. And you won't know, unless you stay here for a long time, if it's going to be like, let's say, for instance, I'm making a barracks like normal here at my base, but let's say I'm also proxying a racks or something like that. I mean, you'll have no idea that that's happening anyways right now. But it could be. The only thing that's really going to tip you off as to what I'm really doing is... I mean, if you saw double gas, that'd be a big indicator too, right? But that I'd be going one base. But the big point I'm trying to make here is the big indicator is right about around like 130 when I'm ready to like throw down my command center or so, like roughly around 130. So if you scout with your gateway probe, your probe would be getting to my base right around now instead of having been here for the last like 10-15 seconds, and then you're still going to see what you see, and you'll get a good read on my build either way. And this probe could have been mining the mineral line because you are undersaturated with your... If you scout with a probe scout, you are undersaturated the whole time you're scouting, which is a decent amount of money you're losing.
Yeah. Because I guess with the Zilla opener specifically, I like to do the probe first to try and distract your scouting SUV so you don't actually see me chrono at the Zealot.
Yeah.
But it's just... Do you think it's just not worth it with that build specifically?
I think if you can like delay the Brax a little bit and stuff like that, like if a Terran somehow fucks it up, I think it would be okay. But I here's my honest opinion about it. I think it's like doing SCV scout, or just doing a probe scout on the pylon is more reliant on the Terran making mistakes than you playing well. So if the Terran plays well while you do that, it doesn't actually help you at all. It just puts you like at a deficit a little bit. It's very minor, but it is still a little bit of a deficit in my opinion.
Right.
Because you could still harass with the gateway probe too. You could still just do that just like you were before, like weaken some SCVs. Maybe that weakened SCV is the one who builds the bunker or something like that, which is exactly what I'm pretty sure happened this game. And then that would be fine. But yeah, I think the whole point of you're just undersaturated. I think that amount of minerals, like if you really think about how long it would have been there, let's actually. Well, I'm gonna give you the number really fast, just for fun. I want to. I want to see when the probe leaves. It's like right at like 15, I think.
So it's immediately after the pylon.
Okay. So at 13 seconds, you build the pylon and then he leaves. So with this, realistically means your probe would have been mining the mineral line roughly around 15 seconds because you still have to build the pylon, or like maybe 16 seconds or something. Okay, it's 18. We'll say 18. You could have clicked the mineral line right now, and you could have been mining here. So every second that goes by now is a mineral, because each worker represents about a mineral per second if it's actively mining, especially if it's an undersaturated mineral line. Because it takes about 5 seconds per turn in, and it's 5 minerals per turn in. So now we'll look at the way we can get the number here that you're going to miss out on, how much money is going to be sacrificed here, is how long does it take you to get fully saturated. And that's the amount of money that this probe could have made up until you were fully saturated. And the full saturation would be actually at 15, not 16, because if it was mining, it would be 16 to 16 then.
I see.
So right now, so that was 18 to 44. What is that? 26 seconds. So far, that's 26 minerals already that you're missing, just because of the scout. So if you already think about it, like just for the fact that if you don't do 26 minerals worth of damage to me right now, that's not super worth it, and the scout isn't really gonna read anything other than what the gateway scout would read, if you know what I mean. But now
Okay.
because of this game, so like if you had actually been mining with your probe, you'd be fully saturated now. It would say 16. Actually, no, it would not say 16 out of 16. I'm just kidding. It wouldn't, because you'd be gateway scouting anyways. So you would have a probe leaving like now, so it would stay 15 out of 16 for a second. But overall, the point still stands where you're missing just a little chunk of money, like between 20 to 30 minerals roughly.
Right.
Which
That just snowballs into the build of just delaying everything.
yeah, exactly. Like, it sounds really tiny, but like it's like a little bit of a later gas, a little bit of a later this, a little bit later next pylon or nexus or whatever, and then it if you ever get to a point too where if you ever cut a cost where like you say, for instance, I'm gonna make my nexus, and then let's just say hypothetically you were 30 minerals down and you made the nexus and your probe finished when you only had 20 minerals. And when you could have had 50, and now you have to wait for that extra like 2 seconds for that little bit of minerals to like hit your economy to be able to make the next probe. But now every probe is 2 seconds behind. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that's exactly what happens, but to you with this build. But yeah, I think it's not worth it until you do Gateway Scout. Personally, I would personally Gateway Scout over Pylon Scout.
Okay.
It's not the hugest deal, but I just think it's a little bit better. Okay, this too. I know, or you make the zealot, so you kind of have to do this.
Yeah, it's just part of the build when because
Yeah.
you. And this is where it's kind of sketchy, because if the zealot does 0 damage, you're super far behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of a coin flip build, I think.
Yeah, Frozen Fire. Thank you for the sub, dude.
But it's pretty memey. Like it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely annoying to play against. It is invested because you do. I mean, you are making a. You are making a Chrono Zealot. You are making another pylon. You're making your core before the Nexus. Like, you're definitely delaying a lot of your probes for this. Honestly, if you want my general honest opinion here, I think that this build could be done in a different way that would make it better. In terms of like if you want to throw pressure at your opponent, because you are investing a lot into this already.
Right.
And my opinion on it would be, if you did a Gateway Scout, and then you built a pylon outside my base, and then you scouted into my base, and then you left my base after getting a scout off or whatever, and you built a proxy gate.
Sessions. How much does
So-
one of these power
something-
cost a guy?
Sorry, I'm getting a alert. It's $75, Cast Sleep. Thank you, man. They appreciate the bits, dude. If you built a proxy gate at his base, like with your scouting probe, and then you committed to like maybe double gateway, and then you have like your nexus or your gateway and your main could then again chrono out a zealot while your gateway that's proxied is building itself, and then when both gateways are done, you can make like maybe a couple of adepts, or if you see the depot walls open, or a couple stalkers if you want to be really really annoying, and if you can actually deny the bunker with that zealot, and then furthermore deny the bunker entirely with your proxied gate, and then your other stalker comes over with your gateway you're back at your base, that could be super fucking annoying because you could severely delay the natural for Terran then, and then you could take your own during that. Because this is my opinion, okay? This is why I think that would be maybe better. There's a level of like commitment to aggression, and I think you're already committed so heavily to the aggression as it is anyways, with how delayed your nexus is and how your probes are being delayed now, that I think it would be more worth it for you to do just go a little extra like step into that aggression commitment, because it's already committed so far as it is, and you would get so much more of a return out of the damage you're going to do with that. Because seriously, like I'm going to go back for a second here. I'm going to watch it when your probes stop being produced, and let's see how long. So at 151 they stop, and how long does it remain stopped while you're building that nexus? Like, I know you're saving for it and stuff like that, but your build is like, this is that commitment process where your build's starting to have these like hiccups going around in it. Okay, you're going back to probes. So it wasn't that long. It was like 7 seconds or something, or 6 seconds. I didn't look at the exact timer, but it was not that bad. But now you have the natural where it's like 23 out of 71, and my natural is 35. So, I mean, that's also not the worst. You're only 12 seconds behind on the natural. But again, if we're thinking about 12 seconds and how much 12 seconds represents early game, that is still quite critical. That's still big.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think your build is fine, but I just think that if you did a little bit extra aggression, like we just said a second ago, it would probably net you a lot more power in the early game, where you'd be like, wow, okay, I can fully like make him lift off and go back into his main base. And then you could even do something, for instance, like this. Imagine if you did this, because you always have access to recall too, right? You could always recall if you ever like don't feel safe anymore, or if you ever like, oh fuck, he actually just like is gonna drop me or something. Imagine if you did a proxy gate and you do like a zealot initially. You chrono out a zealot just like you did. You run across the map, you deny the bunker, you then do double stalker, and then maybe out of your proxied gate, you just make a sentry, and then you could guard the ramp. And you could be like, you want to come down the ramp? Force field. Like, over and over, and you just keep fucking me over every time I try to come down my ramp, so I can really only come down my ramp when I have a medevac. Which means I have to tech all the way to starport to retake my natural.
Oh, that'd be so dirty.
Yeah, like stuff like that. I feel like if you just commit a little deeper into the aggression, like you're still going to make these units either way.
Okay.
But that would be a way to use them if you want to do something really annoying for the Terran.
Cool. I like it.
All right, then going forward beyond this point.
Do you think, for right here, do you think it's better to focus the SCVs or try and kill the Marine?
I think it's better to kill the units. Like the SCVs should have been killed by the Zealot for sure to deny the bunker. But the second I'm here, you should have been killing like my Marine, and my so the Stalker should always kill the Marine or the Reaper, unless the SCV is on the bunker building and you have easy access to it to just rip it off and just kill it off it. But I'm gonna go back to, I don't make this confusing. I'm gonna show you.
Okay.
So like what your Zealot's doing right now, it's fine. You're chasing the Marine because there's no SCV building the bunker. The second the SCV tries to build the bunker again, you should chase the SCV, just like you just did. So far, your micro is great. You're doing the correct thing, because what you're doing is you're delaying the bunker from being done until your Stalker gets here, which is what you want to do, for sure.
Yep.
And then getting back on the SCV again. On the bunker, exactly. It's perfect. You killed it, which is even better. And now, I think actually, okay, so what you're doing now too is you're retreating away from the Marine for a second here because you're going to die. I think this is, again, fine. This is actually good. I like what you're doing. But the bunker, you've done a good job of making it so delayed now that I think because of that, you should actually kill the Marine with your Stalker. And then, like if the bunker was almost done and you think you could kill it before it finishes it, I would say kill the SCV. But it's still like 15 seconds out. Or it's actually 17 seconds out. So you've done a great job with the Zealot. The Zealot was done perfectly up to this point so far. So I think the Stalker definitely should be killing the either the Reaper or the Marine. Marine would be more of a guaranteed kill because the Reaper could just run away. So if you killed the Marine with the Stalker, that would be huge. Because if you actually free up the Zealot from the Marine, either the Reaper has to turn around and then also kill the Zealot, or the Zealot can go back and once again start killing SCVs on the bunker and shit like that.
Okay.
So yeah, I think
that's what I was trying to figure out here. So I was like, okay, I already killed like 2 SCVs. The bunker is delayed, but do I just dive and just suicide for more SCVs, or do I try and? Because I don't want to focus the Reaper because I don't know they'll just run away. But I was worried that the Zealot would just die, the bunker would finish, and then I wouldn't get anything more. I think I was just trying to greed.
Yeah.
Too hard.
Do you like even before I said it has like 17 seconds to be done? Do you just internalize like how long it takes the bunker to finish, or are you just kind of like, well, he's building it, I need to stop that shit now? Like, do you actually have a kind of an understanding of how long it actually takes to build a bunker, like before right now?
Not exactly. I tend to try and just look at the health bar and just kind of time it off that. Like right now, I can see it's like halfway done.
Sure. Because like that's huge too. If you start thinking about the game that way, that's another way to really have a good understanding. Because if you go okay half, and you go, oh, it's about 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you go, yeah, it's about 30 seconds. I got like 15 seconds left. And if you really think about how long 15 seconds really is, 15 seconds is honestly enough for your Stalker to kill a Marine easy, and then go kill the SCV on the bunker and still not let it be done yet. because it only takes 4 hits to kill a Marine, and it takes it takes 3 hits to kill a Marine.
Right.
Or no, it takes 4. I'm just kidding. It takes 4. Sorry, I'm like, wait, does it take 3 now? Does it take 3 now with the new damage buff it got ever since a while ago? It always like.
I think it is 3.
No, it's 4. It's because it does 39 in 3, and then it has to hit that 4th hit, and then it takes 4 hits to kill both a SCV and a Marine. But like its attack speed is only 1.3, so you could easily kill the Marine, and because a Marine is not faster than a Stalker either, so you're always going to be attacking like on cooldown, and then you could come over and kill the SCV too. And here's the thing too, if you actually kill this Marine and I have a Reaper, and I am doing what I'm doing, where you saw me going for a factory opener. Like, I'm pretty sure your probe saw this, right? Did it see it? I mean, you can assume it because you could see how much gas I had. It's not guaranteed, but you're like, if you're thinking about what Terrans commonly do, it's like, oh yeah, Reapers into like factories. It's pretty standard. So if you killed that Marine, and I'm currently making a reactor on that barracks, and I'm not making more Marines, there's no power in that bunker either. So you could literally also, if it did finish, and let's just say you went for the Marine and then the Reaper instead. And you made the Reaper run away with red health, and you didn't quite kill it, and then the Marine dies, but the bunker's done, and you just sit next to the bunker, and you killed the SCV building the command center, you killed the SCV building the bunker, because like after you pushed away the Reaper and killed the Marine, these SCVs have nowhere to go, and they try to like go up the ramp. Maybe they do get up the ramp, but like maybe you kill one of them. Like, it's very possible. But then maybe you poke the ramp because nothing can go in the bunker yet because the Reaper had to run away. And you're like, oh, cool. Now I get a free scout, and I see the factory with a reactor. I see a barracks over there building a tech lab, and he's starting a starport. And you just get this fat read on everything. And then you make a choice to go, do I want to leave my stalker here, like behind the mineral line now, and just be really annoying, and maybe like use a recall when that happens, like when I need to get out, or I could just leave and just take my scout and go, cool. Like, I know he's going for either Widow Mines or Hellions now, and he's going to drop me. So like. Killing the Marine already makes your stalker have no pressure, because think about it like this too. Think about this concept. Imagine if it was like best case scenario for Terran, where his bunker finishes, he puts a Reaper inside of it right away, but you do kill the Marine because the Marine's a guaranteed kill right now. You could literally walk past that bunker with a Reaper in it, and you wouldn't give a shit, because even if you walk past that bunker and then you're now standing where like the mineral line is, the Reaper comes out of the bunker, and what happens? He just gets shut down by the stalker again, because even though he got like 6 free hits on you because you walked past the bunker, your stalker still has like 30 shields out of 80 and full health, and it would still kick the shit out of a Reaper.
Yeah, I used to do a like a 2-gate opener into 4 stalkers back when I was in Diamond.
Yeah.
And I would just, if they didn't build a bunker, or I could cheese it, I would just like literally just walk past the bunker. And there's just nothing they could do.
Exactly.
Just in the back line.
Yep. So I mean, that would also be an option. So I mean, your idea you have here is totally good with everything, but I think the stalker definitely should kill the Marine right now, because your stalker does not need to die. That's why I was saying, like, if you remember when I was saying maybe like 10 minutes ago or something, where I was like, your opener was great, but I think maybe it was a little overcommitted when both of your units die, because I don't think the stalker needed to die. It really doesn't need to die, because right now, again, you could shoot the Marine or the Reaper, but I think the Marine's just a guaranteed kill.
Yeah.
And then you go for the SCV, and what happens from going for the SCV and then going for the second SCV is your stalker is now dead, and you do get both SCVs, which is nice. But
it could have just been better.
Yeah, like because the thing is think about it like this. The trade-off is you could kill 2 SCVs and lose both your Zealot and your Stalker. Your Zealot's always going to die, so that's a guarantee. It's never going to live. Yep. But you could have killed the 2 SCVs extra and then called it a day, and then you get no scout. You just delay the bunker a little bit, and that's it. Or you could have guaranteed the Marine, and I guarantee you could have killed 1 SCV after the Marine before because I would still be building the bunker, because you killed 2 SCVs, and it's still not done yet. And if you killed the Marine and then an SCV, it would still not be done. Or okay, it would be done, but like it would probably have just finished, because the reason why it's not done yet is because you killed the SCV off the bunker, then another one had to get on it. But my point I'm trying to make here is the same amount of hits are required for the Stalker to kill the SCV. as it is to kill the Marine. So you killed 2, so you could probably kill 2 again. The only trade-off would be is if I somehow loaded my bunker at the last second and like got my SCV in there at red or some shit, which is possible. It is possible. But if the Marine's dead, I do honestly see more value. I see more value out of this. You kill the Marine, so there's no pressure for your Stalker to die. You then overpower my natural, so I can't do anything here. I cannot mine from it because you just walk past. And then you every time the Reaper comes at you, you just go, get the fuck off me, you shoot it back. But then you walk up the ramp, and you see what I'm doing, and then you leave. I think that is a better, and then your Stalker's alive still. Because I do think the Stalker has more value than 2 SCVs right now. Overall.
Especially if I can sit in the mineral line and just deny entire mining.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a lot of things you can do with that Stalker. A lot of ways that could have lived a lot longer and been way more annoying.
Okay.
Because, yeah, like I do, like I said before, I think the Stalker has more value than 2 SCVs at this point. It's more expensive, and it has a lot of... It's going to be needed, especially since if you did scout what I was doing, and you went, oh, shit, drop. Like, you know, the more Stalkers you have, the easier it is to deny my drop.
Cool.
Yeah, and then, so yeah, I mean... I feel like you understand all of that, and just to recap really quickly on that, if you want to really ramp that shit up, I think Proxygate for sure would be like a great way to really make that annoying.
Okay.
But if
I'm
we're
also supposed to be building a third Stalker before the warp gate finishes, but I don't do that.
you can definitely squeeze it out. Do you ever go Sentry opener? I mean, with this build. What's up?
Into Terrans?
Yeah. Like, do you ever, like... So I know you open up aggressively, but in general, do you ever open Sentry? Like, not open Sentry first, but you open Sentry second after an Adept or a Stalker. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, no. I almost never do that.
Okay. I actually love doing that. And the reason why is your first one or two scouts gets a complete read on what his build's going to be after your probe scout. And this is assuming you're also not going to do pressure, okay? Because if you're going to do pressure, you're not going to make a Sentry second. You're going to make multiple Stalkers, and then you can make a Sentry after if you wanted to do that. Like how we talked about how you could like force fill the ramp and shit. But if you're going to play defensively, and you're going to go, let's say you go Stalker first to deal with the Reaper, then you go Sentry after, you could actually make a Hallucinated Phoenix, and you could see with the first scout of Hallucination if I'm going to be going for a third CC or not, really like early.
Okay.
And then your second Hallucinated Phoenix will tell you what the build is entirely, if it's going to be bio or mech. So you do with 2 rounds of 75 energy, you would get both reads.
Right.
And then your first scout also tells you when you look for the command center what the opener is going to be too. Is it going to be 111? Is it going to be 3 racks with double tech lab reactor? Is it going to be whatever? You know what I mean? Like what version is it going to be of Terran that's going to come at you?
Okay.
So I would highly recommend if you don't do aggressive builds to do Sentry second. And then what happens too is after your first 2 scouts, you can let energy start to stockpile a little bit on the Sentry, because you could then use observers if you wanted to or whatever. And you could actually have Guardian Shield to defend yourself from timings that can hit you while you're trying to take like your third and shit like that. If you're playing a macro style.
Okay.
All right, and then I'm going to say this too about your build right now. You're going Twilight Council really fast, and after Robo, and I'm not saying it's bad, but you have, I think there's, and I know you didn't take a third this game, the whole game, but there is, I would say there's a requirement for this now. If you go double tech path, like double lines of tech path, so if you open Stargate Council, Robo Stargate, well, like whatever, if you go multiple lines of tech, you have to do a build against Terran. Really against any race, but we're talking ZV or PvT. So you would have to do a build that is designed for a timing or aggression always. That is, you have committed now to requiring your build to do a timing, some type of a timing, because it's way overcommitted. If your plan was to play defensive into a third from this point on, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be a charge lot all in after this.
Okay,
so I go,
okay.
It's usually supposed to be like Immortal, Observer, and then Warp Prism. And I just chrono out charge and get like 3-4 more gates.
That's fine then, yeah.
Because basically I stop probes after I get to fully saturated on my natural.
Okay, so
and then I just...
You're going, so you okay, so just to get this right, you're going to go for, I'm thinking about your gas. You're going to make 3 Stalkers, normally. I don't mind that because you kind of need it if you get hit by like Hellions or Widow Mines or whatever. It's kind of needed.
Right.
I also with the way ZVT or the way PVT is now, you really need an observer, in my opinion, because if you go charge level in and I go armory Widow Mines, you're dead. You have no way to deal with that because they're just permacloak. And then if I put like one Widow Mine in your mineral line and then I just turtle up in my base, you are so dead because you can't get rid of the Widow Mine. If you don't have I feel like an observer is just necessary. So I'm trying to like calculate your gas here. So you have 50 for the warp gate. You have 150 for the 3 stalkers. So we're already at 200. You have 100 for the robo. Now you're at 300 gas. You have 100 for the council. You're at 400 gas. You have charge, which is 500 gas, and you have 75 for an observer. So 575 gas to keep yourself.
Well, 100 more for the immortal.
Do you think you need the immortal? How do you feel about that?
I like it because when I actually hit the timing and hit your base, it's really helpful to just pick it up with the warp prism and be able to kill like a high ground tank or help burst down the bunker and stuff. It just feels like it adds a lot to the push.
Okay. I'm not gonna disagree with you. That is true. I do think it would add power to the push. So we'll say 675 minerals then, or sorry, 675 gas for all the expenses because it was 575 without it. So do you? Really quick question now. Do you mine gas the whole time, or do you rip off your gas when you do it all in like this? When you have enough to do it?
I'm really undecided about it. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I just leave it, or I'll pull like half my gas, because sometimes I want to get a couple more stalkers instead of zealots.
Yeah.
Or it just gives me more wiggle room. So even if this attack doesn't like end the game, I don't have like 0 gas, so I can't get Colossus or like build more stalkers to help defend. Or something.
I would say this honestly. I think what your build should be, because your build is definitely, you're not hitting the fastest timing possible. You're definitely not, because you're adding in. I would say if you want to hit the fastest timing possible, you could do riskier things like literally go 1 stalker into just charge lot all in. Just like super risky shit. And the whole point of that is just to deny scouting, not to hold all ins, or timings. But what I think you should do, this would be my opinion on how I would say if I were gonna do your exact build, I would personally leave. I would probe my main up fully, gases and spinner line. My natural would stay at 12 out of 16. I would leave it at. I would not make probes after 12. And what I would do is once I hit 675 gas, once I have all the expenses where I go, I would first make a immortal, and second. I don't know. I don't know if I actually like that. The order of robo. I almost think you want. I don't know. I almost feel like you kind of want like an observer first. The only reason why is because I think Widow Mine drops are really going to be a main thing this meta. And if you just make a observer last, if you go immortal prism and then observer, Widow Mines are already going to be there, and they'll have been there for a little while. So not having an observer is going to suck ass. I would honestly.
I think I usually try and get it second.
Okay.
But then I usually try and even send it across the map, because I am trying to like catch if there's like a push coming out or something.
Sure.
I feel like that's just.
I think you should. I think you should leave it defensive until you move out, and then you could bring it with your move out to pop observer or to pop Widow Mines if I use it. If I use Widow Mines defensively.
Okay.
Okay. This is what I would say. 3 stalkers, and then that's it. And then you start making zealots with your extra money. Any money you have with your gateway. That's obviously like your least required expense though, because you're gonna make zealots after everything else is really thrown down. But if you ever have a little bit of extra money, you can make a zealot. Immortal first, and then a prism. Or sorry, immortal first, then an observer, and then a prism. I think, because again, if you go observer last, prism second, I think you're gonna get fucked by Widow Mine drops. And then.
Do you think it's worth it to do observer first, and then immortal, and then immortal prism?
Also here, this actually. Hold on. I have a new opinion for you too. This is my new opinion. I also think, because I'm thinking about timings here, and I think you actually should be making the council first, if you're gonna do this build. Realistically, you should actually not be going robo first.
Okay.
You should be going council first, because I was focused on the robo, then I was thinking about the order of it, but then I'm like, wait, you're going council too though, so like that should be first actually. And if we're gonna go council first, and then we're gonna go robo second, actually what you should do is you just dump chronos into the robo. and you should go Observer first then, because it's delayed even longer. Observer first, and then Immortal, and then Prism. If you want an Immortal with the push. However, if you want to make your build, I think there's two ways you can do it. One is you make your build a little delayed, and you have an Immortal with it, which will mean you'll have more Zealots with it, and you do an Immortal version where you have that as well, or you just skip the Immortal, and you go for a Prism, Observer, and then a Prism, and then you just do straight up charge lots. Both are viable. I don't think either one of those is like not viable. But I do think you need to go Council first with this, though. Because your timing is going to be so fucking late if you go Council second. Like
That makes sense.
Yeah, because like your Immortal will be... You'll make the Immortal, and it'll just be sitting here. And you'll make the Prism, and it'll be sitting here for so long before you actually have charge.
Because, like, originally when I would do this, I would use the next couple of gateways to wall off the front.
Yeah.
And use the Immortal to block, like, Hellion run-bys.
Yep.
But I rarely run into, like, straight up Hellion run-bys.
You could do...
It's more of Widowmine drops.
You could do that as well, though, with... you could do that with the Gateways and a Stalker.
Right.
So, like, you don't need the Immortal for that entirely. I think the first argument you made, where you bust down, like, a tank on a high ground or, like, the bunker, it's definitely... I agree with you on that. That is going to... Immortal is going to be so fucking much better than that, than a Stalker at that job. But, yeah, I think you totally could build your, like, a Robo and a gate or a double gateway at the door, and you'd be fine from Hellion drive-bys. And then if you build your pylons as well around your edges of your base, like one pylon and then like the bottom left corner on the peninsula, and then one in the very, very like bottom middle, that would be you would have so much vision there for, okay, I'm getting dropped, and then you build one more pylon in top right of your natural. So again, you have all the backdrop spots with vision of medevac, or with a vision of pylon, so that if a medevac does come, you can react to it like 3 seconds faster. Because the pylon vision isn't just where the pylon is too; it's like deeper out into the open airspace, right? So you'd have a lot of room to work with that. But this would be your build, in my opinion. Okay, so I'll just do it with a Robo, with an Immortal. I mean, so Gateway, Core, Stalker. You can go up to 3 Stalkers. That's fine. And then you make a Council when you can afford it while making Stalkers. When you make the Council, as soon as you have a little bit of money after the Council, you make double Gateway in front of your natural, and then you leave a stalk, like one of your 3 Stalkers can just sit there in the door, and then you can kind of have your other Stalkers like maybe on the ramp, just in case a medevac does come to your back of your main. They can react faster. And then you start a Robo as soon as you can after your gateways. So your Robo would be the the next expense after 3 gates. You start charge as soon as you can. You don't chrono boost charge, and then but you start it, and then once your Robo finishes, you start an Observer and then an Immortal and then a Prism, and you chrono like 3 times on that fucking Robo in a row. You want all of those to come out, because what's going to happen is if you do an Immortal with this, you definitely do not need a chrono boost charge, and if you chrono boost the Robo repeatedly, by the time your Prism crosses the map, charge will be done. Like, it'll be timing nicely for that.
Ah, I see, okay.
And then once you rip your drone or your probes off of gas, and you do the 16 out of 16 on both mineral lines, and you have like 1 probe on each gas that is just still there, that's when I think you should explode your gateway count. So that'll be like probably around the time when you throw your Robo down and you get ready to start the Observer. That's probably when you're going to explode your gateway count to like 7 gates.
7, okay.
And then you just literally from that point on, it's just charge lot, charge lot, charge lot, charge lot, because it's all you're making then. And then and then after you're done chronoing your Robo, chronos from that point on, if the game is going well for you and you have like 2 extra chronos at that point or whatever, you can just throw chronos at like random gateways just to get faster, like a couple extra faster charge lots in the base and stuff like that, because you're definitely going to have the money to afford it, because you're going to be having high minerals pretty fast, because you can definitely hit that 16 out of 16 mineral line saturation count pretty fucking early if you're only going to mine like 600-ish gas and then go back to mining your minerals only. You just really have to remember to pull your probes, though, because if you pull your probes at like 1,000 gas, it's definitely going to fuck your timing up.
Yeah. Okay.
And that would be the definite like all-in version of that. I think that would probably make your all-in as good as it could be.
Okay.
Yeah, and like you're chronoing charge. Like watch. So like okay, so this game specifically, you should chrono charge because I mean you went Twilight Council second, but
Right.
yeah. Yeah, and that was just lack of vision there for the Hellion drop. That sucked for you.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, then your build wise, there's not really much else going on here for like that you need to worry about that. Like, you know, in terms of like what you're gonna build, it's just really all inning now. I think your gateway count it definitely is a little under. And I know you took probe damage. I know you took probe damage though, so that definitely fucks things up. But yeah, ideally, if you can always get to 7, try to go to 7. Because I think the reason why you're going to want to go to 7 too is because I think you could have actually go to 8. But because you're making that immortal, I don't think you should go to 8. I think you should stay on 7. Because you're really like squeezing out everything you can. And that immortal is like going to kind of fuck that up a little bit. But the immortal is going to add power. So 7 gate, in my opinion, would be a good number.
Okay. Oh, that mine shot was so unlucky.
Yeah, right.
So sad.
Also, I would say be very careful about. I do like that you brought the observer with your fight, with your push, but be very careful about what you do with it, because I don't know exactly what you did with it, but if you leave it here like this the whole time and you don't actually get rid of the Widow Mines in my natural, that is obviously a massive like missed opportunity there for you.
Yeah. And then my immortal just sits here for no reason.
Yeah,
It doesn't. I thought it was in my control group, but it wasn't for some reason.
It sucks.
It's like I would have killed your entire army here with that immortal.
Yeah, I think if your immortal got caught on SCVs, I think I could have killed a lot of your units, but I would have probably still lost everything. But if your immortal was actually on my Marauder and you were focus firing my Marauder with it, I would have definitely lost this fight. Like against my Marauder and SCV would have all died.
Right.
But the thing again though is the observer. That's 6 Widow Mines that you like. Obviously 2 more just spawned, but right now there are 6 Widow Mines that could die if you could just see them.
Yeah. So you think keeping it like out of the static mode and have it just moving with my army?
Yeah, like don't have it. I would say don't have it with like your zealots in the same control group, but definitely keep it kind of like around the area to the fight.
Okay.
I would say oversight mode is maybe not your friend here.
Okay.
Like you could maybe even get in the habit of like putting the observer on its own control group essentially, if you want to try that, and then you could just like have it in the back, and then if you don't need it, you don't worry about it. But if you do need it and you're like, oh fuck, Widow Mines, move it forward, just a little bit. Or just like again, you don't have to hotkey it either. I don't really care if you do or don't. But just always have the foresight in your mind to be like, I need the observer. I know Widow Mines are going to be a problem right now in this patch. So if I see Widow Mine defense, I need to always think, bring it forward, bring it forward.
Okay. Those zealots in your main did so much work.
I know. I didn't even know it was happening.
They got like
the whole mineral.
They got like
3,
20 minerals, like SCVs or something.
They got
That's
a lot.
insane.
Yeah. So far, all together, I've lost 32 workers. You've lost 33. We both fucked each other over pretty bad.
And like, so we're like dead even here, and then I don't know what I should be focusing, because at this point, like if this all-in fails, I usually try and either like spam out a bunch of zealots and try and do another all-in and like do another, like try and catch him off guard while he thinks I'm rebuilding, or trying to get the Colossus. But it's just I don't know.
The only thing that makes it scary is you did say we're dead even, but I actually, thinking from a Protoss's perspective, I don't think we are, and here's why. Orbital commands are fucking insane, and I also have pooled up energy because you just all in me, and I couldn't use my mineral lines.
Yes, mules are
And
fantastic units.
And I have a third. So I'm going to have a lot more recovery at this point in time now than you will.
Mm,
And I think the best thing you can do here is, because I'm going Widow Mines, Colossus would be huge. Like some type of AoE countermeasure. If I was going
Right.
for like heavy Marauder, maybe like, you know, I just had like tons of bio with Marauder heavy, that would be like a great time for like maybe Disruptor. But or if I had like, you know, a bunch of Vikings or so, like, you know, like obviously I'm not gonna have Vikings yet, but if I was like already like, I'm making Vikings now because I'm gonna fucking counter those Colossus, that'd be a good time for Disruptor, just to get some type of AoE that's going to deal with me in a way that's going to make sense. And the only thing that makes sense for Disruptor would be if I was going heavy tank, heavy Marauder, or heavy Viking. Disruptors are better in my opinion. If I go anything else, Colossus are better. So if I have a lot of bio, if I have Widow Mines especially, that is like, Widow Mines is like the jackpot for Colossus. Because you can outrange it, and Widow Mines are light, so they get fucked by Colossus, like hard.
right.
And then, yeah, it's... But again, AoE is necessary here. And then if you could, I would say allocation of chronos into your probes as fast as possible to recover as quick as you can, and maybe trying to take a third yourself. So like just defensive play would be my read here for you. Defensive play, AoE, and just try your best to recover.
Okay.
Because the thing is what I like to call it, if you just go back into like single target units, like Zealots and Stalkers and stuff like that, you're playing a brute force style that will not work, because brute force styles of Protoss versus Terran wins in my opinion already. Like if you have equal supply bio to equal supply Stalker Zealot, bio wins.
Yeah, hands down.
So the only way you're gonna win with like pure gateway units is if you just have a, like, you know, like you're always like a 20 supply lead or some shit like that. They just have like you just have that substantial lead over me, but that's not gonna happen now because again, the recovery of mules is faster than the recovery of chrono. It just is. Especially when it comes down to 3 command centers.
Yeah. I think, like, I didn't even know you were on 3 command centers.
Sure.
Until I scouted it later, I think, when I pushed back.
Do you want to know a way to figure that out? I can tell you a way to read that. Check this out. I want to see when you're... This is also why having a sentry... Again, you did an aggression build, I understand that. So it kind of throws everything off. But if you had a sentry, it's way easier to read this. But right now, at like between 4 minutes and 4:30, I should be throwing down more production. If I'm gonna be going for, you know, like this is that moment when I should be going for a 3rd command center or more production if I'm gonna go production. And you can still take a quick 3rd CC with 5 production facilities. It just is a little bit more delayed. It's like maybe a 5 to 5:30 timing of your 3rd. But if you see a Terran with 7 production facilities before like 5 to 5:30, he's not taking a 3rd. He's going to take a 3rd after he does a timing to you. So getting a read on that in that way, if you can somehow do that, and again, it's hard to read it with this build specifically, but if we're talking macro, when you could actually get some scouts into his base every now and again, that's how you can tell if a Terran has a 3rd or not, even if you can't see it.
Okay.
So, like, right now, like, I don't have a 3rd yet, but I could totally afford it. And then I take 2 more production facilities, so now I'm on 5. Again, 5 is like... every additional production facility I make, it's the same thing as it is for you. The concept is obviously the more production you make before you expand, the more likely you're putting yourself in a position where you need to do a timing. You need to do something aggressive now to make use of your production. Because making a bunch of production and then not expanding is just doesn't make sense, right? So 5 production, 3 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport is definitely viable for a 3rd still. But it's going to be a little bit of a delayed 3rd now. But if you were to ever see 7 production facilities with 5 racks factory starport, the only way I'm going to take a 3rd is if I attack you first and fuck you over, and then I take a 3rd.
Okay.
So your observer, okay, but it doesn't come in. That's right. So there was, yeah, it was hard to read this for you. And my money is also ridiculous right now. Holy fuck.
Meals are just fantastic, dude.
But yeah, anyways.
Okay.
But again, for this game specifically, it's kind of hard to read that because you're doing it all in, so you don't have a lot of scouts on my base. But playing
Right.
macro, it is very relevant there. And I would say like 90% of the time, if you do the sentry thing I said with like a sentry second, you'll just see the command center when I take it, or when the Terran would take it.
Okay.
And a way to react to that, just to throw it out there before we move on from that point, would be if you go, oh look, their command center, you can chrono boost probes. But if you see, oh look, extra production, no third, chrono boost your units, like chrono boost Colossus.
Okay.
And yeah, the recovery at this point now, you can see it in the supply. It's just ridiculous. Like, mules are
Yeah.
fucking insane. That's why, like, when you were saying we're tied right now, if you had actually had like 28 probes and I had like 16 SCVs or like 15 SCVs, and I had the same amount of command centers I had, I'd be like, yeah, it's kind of even. It's about the same. Like, honestly, like, I'm not even kidding, because each mule represents about 6 workers. For the duration it's alive, and you can have one mule permanently up, because the cooldown of the mule is the duration of the mule, essentially, like the mana energy, whatever. Like, you can almost have one constantly there the whole time. So
Really?
yeah, it's very close to that, because it's a 64 second. Like, the thing lasts for 64 seconds, and it's 50 energy, and generating 50 energy in 64 seconds is realistic. It's like, it's not going to be perma, but it's like, I feel like a mule would die, and you'd have maybe within the next 5 to 10 seconds, you'd have another mule active again.
Wow.
So it's up almost all the time, and it literally represents it's 6 workers worth of mining. It's like between 5 and 6. So,
Wow.
well, like, if you think about triple orbital, that's 18 workers right there, just because I have triple orbital. So that was like if you have 16 workers, I have 16 workers. It's really like I have 34. So yeah, that's AoE definitely needed against Terran. Like, if you ever find yourself not being able to overwhelm anymore, AoE is definitely necessary. So that should always be like
Right.
the goal, like as soon as possible. So I would say if you ever do this build, like a variation of the charge lot all in, and you don't quite kill the Terran, and you're like, well, fuck, I don't think I did enough damage to like kill him now, and now the game's gonna escalate into the macro stage. Your first thing you should be doing is getting that Robo Bay as fast as you can.
Okay.
And then I would say also on top of that, either make another observer that's going to scout my base constantly, or make a sentry that's going to throw hallucinations at my base, and just try to get a read on whether it's going to be a better idea to go for Colossus or for Disruptor. And before I say it, or just because I'm curious, are you comfortable using Disruptors?
I think so. I
Okay.
use them semi-regularly, more in Protoss matchups,
Sure.
because that's just how the game goes. But
Sure. Because I definitely recommend. I would say you don't necessarily need, if you already have charge lots, you don't actually need disruptors versus tanks anymore, really, because charge lots kind of fill that role now. Disruptor,
Right.
when you open up Robo Macro and you don't have charge yet, because he's doing a really early like bunker tank timing, disruptors are amazing against tanks. Then it's kind of needed, I would say, if you open Robo, or at least like some either variation of Immortals or Disruptor, like one of those is kind of necessary there. But if it's tanks, you don't really need disruptors. You could go Colossus, you'd be fine. But if you did see like a ridiculously heavy, or you know what, fuck it, you don't. The Zealot are really good against Marauder too. Like, just getting in their way, you could just go Colossus.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Like, just go Colossus every time after the opener, because you already have charge, which changes a lot of shit. The only one that would be like, okay, maybe I don't want to go Colossus, would be like if you just saw, wow, this guy's already got like 5 Vikings. Maybe I don't want to hard counter myself. Maybe I will go Disruptor. And yeah, I think that would make more sense.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, do you have any questions about anything? Does a lot of shit we talked about make sense, or how do you feel?
Yeah, I think a lot of it makes sense. Yeah, I think a lot of it is just once I start getting into a macro game like 3 base plus, I have a hard time like figuring out how to get to that next stage. Like, I'll either not get Colossus fast enough and just die to some kind of like tank push or something,
Sure.
or I'll get there and then once you get to like the super late game, I don't scout like the Liberator range or like the switch into big Liberators, and then I never have Tempest, and I just lose.
You can do.
So it's like,
Go.
yeah.
Keep going.
no, I was gonna say like, sometimes I don't know, I just like miss the window of like, oh, I really need to scout for like in this minute window of the game to figure out what's happening next.
All right. I have an offer for you, and if you have time, I don't mind doing this. I can make you a build right now. It's a build that's like if the game is like standard macro, it's a transition build that'll just take you from stage to stage to stage, and it's a build you can do against every Terran. Like I literally do it against Terrans all the time, and my fucking PvT is pretty good actually. Like it wins a lot, so I feel confident with it. It's basically this is how it goes. It's a stage. It's like a multi-stage build where it opens Robo. You play defensive while you get all your tech, which is Blink, Charge, Storm, and then you get your upgrades too. It becomes a build from Gateway Unit plus Colossus now into Gateway Unit plus Colossus plus High Templar, and then it switches from that into higher production values of like just more gateways, so you can just like crank units out like crazy, and then the final stage of it is a carrier switch. You just go carriers. And carry like once you get to like 8 carriers to 10 or 10 carriers, you just fucking win. I'm not even kidding. Like it's stupid.
Yeah, yeah. Carriers are kind of insane.
All right, I'll make a game and I'll just show it to you. I'll just give you an example of it.
I have a question about blink openers into a macro, because
Sure.
I feel like whenever I do that, I just die to like a stim timing because I don't have any AOE.
Yeah, you
delays my
100% need a shield battery if you open that way, and you can the enhanced shield battery upgrade thingy, you know, the new patch thing they added, that would definitely help you a lot there. I think the build you're gonna struggle with even more though is Widow Mines, because you can't actually see them if you don't have an observer. It's gonna be fucking annoying. So you're definitely gonna. You can open up Blink and go Sentry second, and then do a scout in their base and get a read on what kind of a build it is, and you get shield battery if it's the Robo, or if it's the multi-racks Marauder timing with Stim and Marines, and if it's like a Starport drop build with like possibly Widow Mines, rush out a Robo and get Observer, like Chrono Boost and Observer, because if you make a Sentry second, you'll get that scout in his base pretty fucking early. Like you get it while he's building the Starport, so you would still get in time for the Widow Mine essentially before like an armory's done and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, just know that if it is a stim timing, it's even more reason too. You might even want to make like a second sentry, because if you can take a fight on a ramp as well, you can literally wait for him to stim on the ramp, and you can cut him off, like literally cut his army in half, and suddenly you just crushes the shit out of his army.
Okay.
So that's also a great way to deal with that too.
Because I see a lot of pro players when they go blink, they just leave their stalkers outside of the natural, the Terran, and just harass him constantly.
Yeah.
Especially if he tries to move across the map. But I'm just like, I don't want to play that way because I feel like I would just miss macro while trying to macro my stalkers.
That's
and then if I lose my stalkers, I just lose the game.
Yeah, that's high. It's a high risk. It's super high risk playing that way. And if you have like the game sense to know when is the good time to not be at risk anymore, that's okay to play that way. But if you're kind of just like, oh, I don't know, I do hopefully contain him, and then suddenly you're like, oh fuck, my mineral line's dying to a drop, and I'm sitting out here in front of his fucking natural. It sucks. Shit could fall apart pretty fast. So it's definitely high risk to be aggressive with stalkers, especially if the guy's going for like heavy bio or something like that. Because that is something that I do when I'm Terran and I play against people who like, this is not something that's really happening as much in the new patch because Blink did get nerfed, I would say. Like Twilight Council openers got a little nerfed because of Widowmine buff. But whenever somebody would be aggressive on me when I was going for a triple racks opener and they're going stalkers, I would just stim and just wipe out half their fucking stalkers while they try to blink home because I run faster than them, and I would just catch them with concussive shells.
Yeah. Do you usually wall like this against Terran?
No, I don't.
Actually, I'm never really sure where to wall.
You should. I actually don't. I recommend cutting your mineral line off in one way, like putting on the right side of the gas or something like that. Just making the wall to where a
Okay.
Reaper comes in, it will die if it goes all the way in. And then your second part of your wall should actually be, in my opinion, it should be like in front of your natural. So you can prevent Reaper timings and shit like that from getting into your base. Or not Reaper, Hellion from getting into your base. And then from there, your next pylon should be actually around the edges of your base to see for drops. Like drop spotting. So like this could be timed gateway and a robo together. And then I made a sentry second. We're making a stalker again. And then this will just save for, you know, energy for hallucination. And then every pylon I make after this, like for instance, like the main, this is like a perfect pylon spot, just so you can see the drop again. Easy peasy. And then you can make your robo bay at a safe location, like at the pylon in your main or something like that. That would be with the pylon that would, like the first pylon, ideally that's going to power your robo, or your gateway and your core.
Okay.
And if you were to play this way too, if you're going to play like the macro way where you're going to focus on scouting and playing defensive, like reactionary, you can totally take a third base super fast this way. Because you're going to react by either chrono boosting probes if he's going greedy too, or you're going to react by chrono boosting Colossus if he's going to do a timing. Because then you're going to have access to Colossus when he shows up with the timing. Because it's still early as fuck. It's only 4 minutes. And he's not going to already be here.
Right.
But like, if, for instance, if I were to see like, oh, third CC, I would just be like, let's chrono probe still. But if it was like, oh shit, it's you know, it's aggressive, it's something that's gonna attack me, then I would just get ready to start chronoing my Colossus literally like 3 times in a row, so I could get 2 Colossus out really fast. And we'll just do that. I'll just chrono the Colossus this game.
Okay.
So I made my second observer. The first observer could like, you could use it to go to his base a little bit if you wanted to, or you could even use it to go scout the sides of your base. Either way is honestly fine, in my opinion, because you should expect to be attacked either way. Like you should feel like you're going to be the defender no matter what, because you're playing. Even if the Terran was going for a third CC, you're going to be going for the extra. You're going to be going greedier than he is. So you being on defense is likely going to be the scenario. And then as soon as your third started, this is when you would ideally start your upgrades, all of them, Twilight Council and Forges. And like for instance, like if you look at the ramp at my natural, like if he was doing a timing with bio here, you would just be like, oh look, it's like a stim timing. You just fucking force field the ramp while chronoing your Colossus out, and you know, I obviously I kind of didn't chrono my Colossus as much as I could have, but you'd have some type of a split scenario here where you could take a better fight or whatever. Or also if you saw like triple rags, you could make like a battery to make yourself safer to do that, or a supercharged battery, which makes your units fucking never die, really.
And because we delay our charge until after the third base, if he's doing a tank push, would it be better to chrono out an Immortal and then Colossus?
I actually, what I do is I go Disruptors against that. You can go Immortals.
Okay.
That makes sense too. But if I see a tank timing, I always go Disruptor.
Oh, okay.
And then what I do as well is I chrono boost my Council as soon as my upgrades are started. I just only chrono boost my Council like 2 times. 2 full chronos, and then I just, because I wanted to get that first upgrade quick so I can start the second one after. And then as soon as I'm done chronoing my my Council a couple times, I will go into like I'll actually chrono it like 3 times. I get like the first upgrade pretty fucking fast, and then I go into then never again chronoing that. I just chrono Forges.
Okay.
And now at this point too, when your third base is saturated, you can throw down like an extra 4 gates just anywhere the fuck you can in your base. Because you can actually afford it now.
Do you like Blink as the first Twilight upgrade before charge?
I do.
Okay.
And the reason why is because charge, you're doing a low gateway opener, okay? And if you're making zealots already at this point, you are so vulnerable to so many things. Stalkers are just better at this stage until you have about 10. And right around when you get 10 is when you should be having Blink. So if he shows up with Medivacs, if he shows up with Liberators, anything like that, you can, or Banshees with Cloak, you can get around your base quickly and punish them for that. And now when you start charge, you're now starting to make zealots. So so like it times out better this way because you don't have a bunch of slow zealots for a long ass time that won't have charge for like 3 minutes. And then no stalkers to defend air random crap. And then you can even make like another like 4 gateways when you start saturating your 4th base, and also start your right around the time when you start charge is when you should be starting your Twilight Council, so you can get ready to go into Storm as well. And then you just start cranking zealots out like crazy here, and keep chrono boosting your forges. And then you just or go ahead.
What's a good amount of Colossus to stop making?
I like to go to 4, 3 to 4.
4. Okay.
Usually what I'll do is I'll go to like 3, and then I'll make a couple more observers, and I'll do exactly what I'm doing with them right now. I'll put them on the sides of my base, and I'll oversight them so that I can be more aware of where the Terran is at all times, and not be just randomly caught by drops. And then once I have a couple of observers like that kind of placed around, I'll go back to making Colossus back up to 4, and I'll just kind of sit at 4. Making too many is definitely not good because it's just oversupply commitment to it. Like if he goes Vikings, you definitely don't want to have like 8 Colossus or some shit like that.
Okay.
But yeah, now I'm getting Storm. Charge is almost done. 2-2's halfway done, and I'll make, usually at this point, I'll make like 4 or 5 Templar, and then I'll go back into making Zealots. And this now gives me access to being with a maxed out timing of doing a 2-2 max timing of Colossus, Storm, Stalker, Zealot. And at this point when I max, which is going to be pretty fucking fast as well. Like obviously if you're getting attacked it'll be a little later, but the idea is there of, you know, the build kind of just flows with it. Around this point when I do max, I'll start a Stargate. Like right around like 180 plus supply, I'll just start 1 Stargate. Just 1. Because you're going to use it for tech in a second here. You could take like another base too. You could take like a 5th while you're at it, because you're not making any more probes really. Like I'm going to stop probing at 80, which is what we're at now. Making my last ones. But I am making literally just Zealots until we max. And then and my Stargate will be almost done. At this point too, when you're going to move out, you can be like, alright, maybe I'll throw down 3 cannons in my natural or some shit, and like a cannon in my other base, just to be extra safe from drops again. You can move out, do a timing, start 3-3 while you do your, like you start 3-3 while you do your timing, and you can start +1 air weapons when you do your timing. And you could again chrono all upgrades. And now your Stargate will finish when you move out, do your shit, whatever. However that goes is however it goes. Obviously if it goes well and you win the game, that's great. But if you don't win, right now is when you go Fleet Beacon and make like an extra like 3 Stargates. And you chrono non-stop upgrades still. I'll prioritize Forges first. So if you don't have enough chrono to do all of them, do Forges first, and then if you have excess, do the core. Because you do want to get 3-3 quickly, because you're going to be relying on your Zealot, Stalker, all that shit for a while still. You're not going Stargate yet. You're not making the transition yet, but you're starting it. And then you obviously like keep making sure your probes are mining well, all that shit. And then around this stage, you are now having the Fleet Beacon be done. You're having the Stargates kind of getting ready to be done here. When you start taking fights, and you at this point, it becomes non-committal styles of Protoss, I would say. Try not to take fights that are going to be like, my whole army is going to die here. Unless it's like a defensive, like you're letting him come towards you and it's going to be a better fight for you. What I'm saying is, like, try not to like engage like a planetary and his whole army at the same time and throw your whole army away.
Right.
Shit like that. You want to bleed your army out a little bit, like send 10 Zealots to his natural. Send some Zealots over there, some Zealots over here. Take a fight, but back off early, like rely on Storm and Colossus pushing back to like take good engagements. Let bits of your army bleed out, and as bits of your army bleed out, where you lose, let's say, like 20 supply or something, and you're like, okay, well, I didn't lose everything, but I just lost 20 supply. Make carriers, and then if you have excess, if your starports or stargates are all in use already, finish off with Zealots again or whatever you need, and then go back to chrono boosting your upgrades.
And why not get Tempest? Because I usually
honestly
like Tempest for Liberators.
If it's bio, don't ever get them. Don't if it's bio, just do carrier swap when you're ready to do it. If it's a mech, I actually do like Tempest against mech personally, more than carrier, because I think Tempest Disruptor is amazing against Thor. That's just my personal style.
Okay.
But yeah, the only time I personally use Tempest is against Thor, against mech. It's just the generalization of mech. I don't think you should worry too much about the fact that he has Liberator, so you go Tempest. Because if you are going to make a Fleet Beacon Stargate transition, carrier is against Bio Tempest, or sorry, against Bio Liberator, carrier is always going to be fucking insanely good, way better.
Yeah.
And then if you're worried about like mech with, or it's just if you want to do want to go Tempest against Liberator, just stop making them around like 4. Make like 4 and stop, and then you can use it just to break the Liberator open with the Tempest and go forward.
Right.
If that's how you want to play it out. But I don't really do that myself anymore, honestly. I used to do that, but I don't, because I think carriers are just better. Like I've seen the way of carrier. It's godly. It's so fucking good. Because eventually you'll get to a point where your army is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and your army will become High Templar, Mothership, Carrier, and that's it. And then like anytime you have excess supply, you just warp in 20 Zealots or 10 Zealots, go do a run by on his 5th base or something, and just wipe out a base.
Okay.
And that's the whole build.
Okay, what is your opinion of Mothership? Because I feel like I literally never get it, because I feel like when I do, it just dies instantly in the fight.
It's really good.
It just doesn't do anything.
It's really good. It's not supposed to do a lot itself. The fact that it got buffed again with the time warp affecting air units now is fucking insane. Because it creates a momentum shift in favor of you when the fight starts if you use that ability. Because your opponent has to move out of it, otherwise he's gonna get fucked. Like he will lose if he doesn't move out of it. So when he's moving out of it, that's free damage you're doing to him. But what the Mothership really does do though is as long as you don't drive it way the fuck forward in front and let it die, if you have it in your army, it creates a moment where everything has to volley into it. Everything volleys into the Mothership first. And while it does that, there's going to be overkill as well, where maybe the Mothership gets hit by the second volley and it has 72 hit points left, and the third volley that's gonna hit it does like 400 damage, and it overkills the fuck out of the Mothership because it's a lot of projectiles hitting it, like a bunch of Vikings or whatever. And then in that time where where the Mothership is dying, the rest of your army is killing a lot of his shit. Like the Mothership is actually a massive damage sponge. And it can turn the tide where you lose 8 supply, and at the time you lost 8 supply, which is the Mothership, he lost 22 supply or like 24 supply. Right. And now you have this momentum swing in your favor to just win the rest of the fight.
Interesting.
Especially if you place a time warp in a really, really, really good spot. Like that is like game breaking. And then from this point on, you should be going on to level 3 weapons on air. You could start getting shield upgrades, but you get all your upgrades to 333. In that order, the way we did it this game. And then at this point too, like once you have carriers out, if you want to, you could even be like, how about I make Dark Templars as well? Like that's the final tech path you haven't gone to yet, and you could start just doing random DTs around the map if you wanted to. And this style is so fucking strong against Terran. You could play it every single game against Bio.
Interesting.
And it has a ton of power.
Okay, well now I'm hyped. This build looks so sick.
Yeah, try it out. Like, honestly, dude, you're gonna win a lot of your games with the 2/2 Colossus Storm timing. I'm not even kidding. Like most of your games won't even go to carrier. Like that timing is fucking strong. But if it does go to carrier, just know that if you don't win with the 2/2 timing, you're going to 3/3. You're still replacing zealots and stuff like that while you slowly switch into carrier. But you don't want to ever lose your whole army. You want to lose bits of it and replace that supply with carrier and remax with whatever's left. You do not want to be like, well, I just dipped 100 supply and now we're at 130 while I'm trying to go carrier here, because that gives your opponent time to kill you then, right?
Yeah, exactly. I've done that a few times.
Yeah, so
trying to switch into carriers with my entire army. I'm like, well, I only have 3 carriers right now.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you just slowly swap into it and suddenly you just have a shitload of power. And then once you're here with a bunch of carriers, like I said, making a Dark Shrine's a great idea, and then maybe making like an extra 8 gateways, seriously, so that you can be like, if you ever have a moment where you have like 40 supply open, you make 20 fucking zealots at once, and then you just do a massive run by, or DTs, a massive run by on one of his like planetaries, or like one run by and killing one crucial expansion can just end the game at that point.
Yeah.
So having a nice ability to warp in quick with extra gates because you can afford it would be huge. And that's it, dude. That's the whole build.
That's sick.
Yeah, man.
Will this replay be in my match history?
It will. Yeah. Just make sure you save it, because if you leave the game right now, you'll have access to it, and then it'll just, I don't know what it'll be called for you. It'll be called something different for me, because it's like, for me it's like Eternal Empire 263. Just make sure you save it, and then always come back to it and just compare timers. Like Vibe hit this timer at 9 minutes. What am I at? Am I at like 10:10? Am I at 9:50? What, you know, stuff like that. Make sure you're hitting timers that are ideal. And yeah, that build is like, it's like got a bunch of fail safes in it where like the chrono allocation is the big part of it in the developing stages. And then don't be afraid to build batteries if you when you scout him with the hallucinations. If you think he's overly aggressive and you're like, fuck, okay, this guy is gonna like all in the shit out of me, maybe I'll make a battery or two, and then I'll overcharge it if he like breaks into my base.
Okay.
But yeah, any questions before we wrap up?
No, I don't know. There's a lot there. I just
Yeah.
gotta think about it more and put it into practice, and I'll be
For
good.
sure. And I'll make this a VOD too, and I'll have it uploaded by probably tomorrow, and I'll send you a DM on Discord for the video link to it, so you can watch it again
Perfect.
if you want to watch it again, bro.
That'd be sick.
All right, man. Well, thank you for doing a coaching lesson. I wish you the best of luck, and let me know how it goes. Like, come back to the stream and tell me, like, you know, if you're crushing or not.
Will do.
All right, man. Take it easy.
You too. Later.
See you, man. All right, guys. That's another coaching lesson. That was a Masters 2 level ProDOS lesson right there. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, go check out more stuff. I post a lot of videos on the YouTube. So lots of coaching, lots of replay analysis, lots of B to GM. But thanks, everybody, for watching. Until next time, good luck yourselves. And I'll see you then. Later, guys.